Hey, this is Jeff Hamilton with Dad Academy. You know that being a dad's the only thing we do in our life without a plan. You go to the grocery store, you got a plan, a list of things you got to pick up. You go to the gym, you've got a plan. We've got financial goals that we want to achieve or things that we want to accomplish in our life. And a guy always has a plan to be able to make that happen. And yet being a dad's the only thing that we don't do with a specific plan. In fact, many of us are responsive at best and reactive kind of at worst. But what if we could learn to parent on purpose? Because the legacy that we leave for our family is one of equipping them by fulfilling our mission in life, which is to give them their values and the skills that they're going to need to be able to navigate life successfully. So here's some thoughts about developing your own personalized dad plan. First of all, the dad plan begins with helping to understand what's really important to you, that your values are not just based in your belief, but they're based in your behavior. So what you do is really what you are. And in that process, when we start sorting through what do we really want our kids to become and what kind of people, what kind of men do we want to be so that we can pass on the best of ourselves into them. We also need to equip them in life with the set of skills that they need. Everything that we know how to do in life, someone has taught us, from tying our shoes to making our bed to even learning how to study or to balance a checkbook. And what Dad's job is to help equip and prepare his kids for life by passing on the skills that he has and making sure that they have a certain level of competence and are able to capably approach life. And then there's the day-to-day process of being a dad. You know, you only have 936 weeks. There's 936 weeks from the time your child is born till their 18th birthday. And for the rest of their life, you only have 52 weeks left with them. So every day matters. And our presence as a dad matters more than most of us can imagine. And so it is making the most of the moments that we have. It is bringing a kid with us when we're running an errand. It's learning to kind of disengage and being ready to listen and to talk when they are ready. But it's also about creating intentional moments to be able to be with our children. The other thing that we need to do is to look at our calendar to make sure that they're getting priority. There's going to be events that take place over this year, such as graduations and birthdays and special celebrations. And I really think a dad's job is to infuse those moments with meaning and significance, especially like individual accomplishments that dad celebrates and recognizes their achievements. When you are able to take moments help them to understand when they've moved from one level to another with its both privileges and its responsibilities. And then there are the daily rituals and routines of life that just give a kid a sense of security because they create identity. Remember, God didn't create a people through DNA. He created them through rituals and traditions and stories that created an identity for them that always reminded them of who they are and who they belong to. You know, God didn't make a people just based on DNA or ethnicity. It was about the rituals and traditions and stories that always reminded them of who they were because of who they belonged to, and how God was always at work in their life and bringing them back to the promise of who they were. And I think that's part of a dad's job as well. So whether it's the nighttime stories, whether it is the way you celebrate the holidays of Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter, that there are the rituals and the routines and the traditions that let your kids know who they are and who they belong to. There's an old leadership adage that says that you have to plan your work and work your plan. And I think the best dads are able to do that so that they can create a legacy, because a man's legacy is how he is remembered.